Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Navis Nobilite. I am Captain Zelnick, and today we are going to be doing a requested uh, fleet list how-to. Today we are going to be doing the Rogue Traders. Now, I need you all to understand that there are going to be technically two, maybe three different fleet lists that we're going to be playing with because they're all very different. So it'll be the Rogue Traders, the Exploration Fleet, and then the Wolfpack Fleet. So it's all three because they're all effectively working within the same rough guidelines. They're kind of down at the far miserable end of the Imperial Navy section of the Fleet List Remastered. So we will be working with what we have, and I'll be giving as much context as I possibly can to the three different possible fleets and how they work and what you should not be using. So let us begin. The classic rogue trader fleet, as you see before you, functions like a heavily truncated Imperial Navy fleet. You have access to a very limited number of options when it comes to ships and escorts, but they have a certain number of interesting opportunities and options. Let's have a look at the commander. First thing you'll notice is you have a choice between 0 and 2 veteran rogue traders, and each one gets a reroll for any rogue trader ship or squadron, his vessel or an accompanying escort squadron, because every rogue trader cruiser you take, you may take rogue trader and auxiliary escorts. So the first thing that we're noticing in this fleet is that it is based heavily on a balance between escorts and cruisers. So let's understand that as we move forward. But you can take up to two, and they each get a reroll, which is not bad. For a Leadership 9 50-point option, that's really, really good. Now, when we go over here and have a look at the capital ships, the writing here makes it abundantly clear that this is kind of meant to be used in other fleets, though it can be used in its own fleet. Any fleet except Necrons or Tyranids may include a single Rogue Trader capital ship. Tau, Demiurge, and Imperial fleets may include one Rogue Trader cruiser for every 750 points. Now, this is important for campaigns because Rogue Traders generate victory points like crazy. But beyond that, you have to function within the boundaries of this fleet for taking them. Basically, you have to take a standard Rogue Trader cruiser for any Rogue Trader cruiser variant. And we'll get on to what that means here in a moment. But you can see you have Rogue Trader Cruiser at baseline 185 points. You can take a Dauntless-like cruiser at 125, an Endeavor for 110, and a heavy transport for 40. What you're almost certainly going to notice is that there are no carrier options right here. Now we can go down into the escort options. You have the ever important Xenos vessel. We'll get onto that in a moment. Recommissioned escorts for 30 points, iconoclast destroyers for 30 points, cargo vessels for 20, and auxiliary vessels, which may vary. Note over here from Nate Montes, who is one of the High Lords. The Siluria and the Havoc option are an option for people who get permission from their fellow player. Um, I'm very critical of this kind of ruling if both players agree. This is not good game design. If either it's in or it's out, make up your minds, guys. I'm very critical about that. Also, I've never been in a situation where anyone has ever said no, especially to something like the Havoc or the Siluria, which are basically well, the Havoc is okay. The Siluria is basically a blade of armor for the rest of your fleet. But let's go and take a quick peek at what all of this means. Let's take at the Rogue Trader Cruiser. Now, I'm sure you could all have watched my previous videos regarding the ships. We're going to go into some detail here. As you can see, it's a pretty standard issue. Cruiser layout. It does have 3 turrets. So, 20 centimeter speed, 45-degree turn, 2 shields, 6 up armor front, 5 up armor on the side. It has a port and starboard weapons battery of 6 and 4, 45 and 30, very similar to that of a Tyrant, and proud torpedoes of strength 4. You're basically getting the 185-point benefit for those 3 turrets. Obviously, at least half Rogue Trader cruisers and exploration fleet must be of the basic profile listed above. It is also in the standard Rogue Trader fleet because you can only take this or a variant. So, and then a variant, and then another, and then a variant. Okay, Rogue Trader cruisers in an exploration also, so obvious in an exploration fleet. This again is very poorly written, um, but it's also in the standard fleet as well. May also be one of the following Imperial or Chaos ships: Lunar, Tyrant, Carnage, or Murder, even if it is used as a Loyalist ship for normal point cost. 15 points if the ship is equipped with lances or 60 centimeter weapons. So everything here but the Tyrant is going to be getting is going to be at a points premium due to the additional expense of maintaining the weapons, as reflected in the fleet list. Chaos vessels used as loyalist ships must be painted as such, so you can't have a loyalist fleet with a chaos ship that looks like it just came out of Nurgle's armpit. And no special variants in the notes of these ships can be used, which means you can't have boosted batteries or Nova cannons. You're getting a very vanilla fleet here. So that is your basic option. Now, what makes this this may make you kind of look at the original Rogue Trader fleet and go, why in the world would I ever take this? Well, let's take a important look at some of these escorts, namely the Xenos vessel. Okay. First things first, 50-point escort, escort 1, 25 centimeter speed, 90-degree turn, a single shield, 5 up armor, 2 turrets. It has a 45 centimeter weapons battery at front, left, right, and a lance battery at 30 centimeters. Now, this, of course, represents a whole variety of alien vessels, blah, blah, blah. Getting actually does not okay, where is it? For this reason, a single ship profile is used, but to better represent the great variety of Xenos vessels. Each Xenos vessel also has one selected Xenotech system as described in the Rogue Trader special rules. Okay, one selected. You may pick your upgrade. This is very, very important, and it does not cost extra points and may be selected by the owning player for free whenever they are used in a Rogue Trader fleet, as pirate raiders, or even as their own independent squadron of Xenos warships. Uh, Obviously, they all have to be of the same race, must use all the same. Basically, every squadron must use the same escort. Sorry, must use the same upgrade. Following pages, variants. Okay, these are just different. So Xenos vessel weapon systems, like the vessel themselves, represent a wide variety of technologies, while the weapon systems may not described in a manner. Yeah, okay. So basically, what it means is you take this platform, which is actually a very good platform, even if it's 50 points, you're going to have points to spare, so I wouldn't worry too much. And then you go up to the upgrade list, which is right here. You have the choice of long range sensors, a targeting matrix, which makes all targets count as closing with on the gunnery table within 30 centimeters and ignores right shift modifiers for shooting greater than 30. That's very handy for a ship with 45 centimeter weapons batteries. You can give them an additional shield. You can give them an additional turret. You can make them go much faster. You can double your normal rate of turn. There's a ton of things you can take here. Now, nominally, given the standard profile of the Xenos Escort, I would probably take the targeting matrix, which basically turns them into supremely lethal little ships, or I would take the advanced shielding and make them virtually unkillable. And I would take a lot of them. The only downside to this fleet is that you cannot take carriers. So you have to find ways around that weakness. But let's make a list about this, shall we? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take full advantage of my veteran rogue trader. All right. My veteran rogue trader is sitting pretty at 50 points. I'm going to take both of them because there's absolutely no reason not to. I want to be able to have those re-rolls for all of my fleet because I have pretty standard LD. Now, I'm going to have to take a standard issue rogue trader cruiser. So 185 points. And with that, I am then going to take a squad of 6 Xenos vessels. And for this particular squad, again, it's no points difference. You can give them any of the upgrades that you want. So plus 300. And I'm going to do that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, instead of taking one of the fancy options for my um, Rogue Trader cruiser, I'm just going to take a standard one because it's cheap. I could take a Tyrant, but it's only slightly better, but you know what? What the hell? I'll take a Tyrant, okay? Same point cost as your standard Rogue Trader Cruiser, pretty similar in regards to firepower. They're going to squadron together very well. And then I'm just going to take another squadron of Xenos escorts because why the hell not? I can't express that enough. Why not? You should absolutely take those Xenos vessels. They're incredibly good, and you need them to basically soak up fire. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna talk about the recommissioned escorts and the other options that you have here as soon as I can get down to them. So getting all the way down for all Raider, blah blah blah, Nakuli Whip, blah blah blah, recommissioned escorts. Now these are effectively pseudo falchion, pseudo cobras. Okay, they have 30 centimeter speed, so they're faster than your falchion, but you basically are swapping. It basically has the same profile as a falchion in that regard. One turret, 5 up armor, one shield, 90-degree turn, 30 centimeters at 30 points, strength 2 weapons battery, front, left, right, and a prow torpedo, strength 1. There's nothing wrong with these little escorts, and they're reasonably cheap. They don't really have any kind of massive benefits, but they don't really have any massive negatives. You can also, take iconoclasts and auxiliary vessels. Double checking. Okay, up to half the escorts of the road trader fleet may be picked from the list of the road traders accompanying the normal cost, accompanying Gothic sector, Imperial fleet. Up to half the escorts can be picked from Gothic sector, Imperial Navy fleet list. So you can pick immediately. If I take a third cruiser, which I definitely will, I can take normal. Uh, I can take perfectly normal escorts, and in this particular regard, I have 200 and let's see, that's what 245 points left to play around with. Well, I can take there. I have a lot of options here when it comes to taking my escort options. So I would say a really nasty combo would be, say, a squadron of Cobras. So let's see, Cobras are 30 points a pop, 90 plus 180. I should have enough room to play with. 1435. Now, obviously, right here, we're sitting at a situation where we're kind of lacking in a lot of flexibility in what we can do with what options that we have, right? Either take I'm going to take Cobras obviously over the recommissioned escorts because the Cobras are just better with a superior torpedo salvo, and we're kind of weak on ordnance as it is. So I'm going to then fill it up with cargo vessels. So 20 plus 20 plus 20. Congratulations. I have 3 cruisers and an absolute evil load of escorts that are very, very powerful, very mean to face off against, and extraordinarily tough if I take an additional shield. This is a solid game winning fleet. It is something that you're going to have to get used to because obviously, as an Imperial Navy standard, you're expecting your cruisers to pull the heavy lifting. In this regard, you're expecting your escorts to carry the heavy lifting. You're also going to have to find a way around the enemy's incoming ordnance, but that is really up to you to deal with. All right, now moving on to the exploration fleet list. Now we have a lot of other options in this fleet. We have tons of different choices of ships. We have Xenos. We have subplots. We have best that money can buy. It's very important that you spend time, okay, reading all of the rules that you can get your hands on when it comes to fielding a rogue trader fleet. Now, again, important thing to point out. Lunar class cruiser, Carnage class cruiser, Rogue Trader cruiser, Tyrant, Murder, Dauntless Endeavor. You have no carriers. You just have no choices here in that regard. You have to find a way around it. You have to find a way to compete against enemy strike craft. And you know what? I'm reasonably sure that you, as the player, can figure this out because you have at your disposal a great deal more to play with because you also have access to things like the For All cruiser, or the For All, whatever it's called, if I can find the dang thing. You also do have access to escort carriers, so you can actually field an appropriate amount of launch capacity. In fact, you can field a really decent amount with escort carriers. Just recognize they are 60 points. Good luck, buddy. The fleet must include at least one squadron of escort-sized cargo ships of any type. Okay, just remember that. Congratulations, you have your choice. You're taking escort carriers. Yes, they're ridiculously expensive, but it's your only choice for launch capacity. And you're going to want to take that veteran rogue trader to get those re-rolls on them because escort carriers have terrible leadership. So here we are sitting at with a exploration fleet. We're going to start with our two veteran rogue traders because we're not stupid. Now, your fleet may include no more than 12 capital ships, and at least half must be rogue trader cruisers and or Endeavor-like cruisers, following the basic profile for this ship. Now, this is a different setup. We can just pick Endeavors. But remember, we also are getting upgrades to these ships with the best that money can buy. Okay? The Xenotech system refits on the page before can be only used by rogue trader cruisers and escorts, not by other reserves or allied vessels. That means these are the only cruisers that can use them. If you spend extra points, namely 5 extra points, the rogue trader vessel may roll randomly against Xenotech systems for 15 points per cruiser or 5 points per escort. You may roll, or for an additional 5 points per ship, the player can select the desired technology, except for randomly rolling for it, unless you take the Xenos escort. Remember that. So, the first thing I'm also going to point out as I scroll all the way down to this, because I have to get to the point that a point that most people they regularly overlook. The rogue trader for all battleship. Where are those rules? Okay, in the pirate fleet, these can be taken, just to make an important point. So you can take those for all in the Wolfpack fleet. Anyway, getting back up to the top. We'll get to the for all battleship later. So we have our choices when it comes to that's the Wolfpack capital ship. We have to take a rogue trader cruiser. We don't have a choice. So I'm going to actually here's our choices. Rogue Trader Cruiser. I'm actually going to go with the Tyrant because given the choice between the Rogue Trader Cruiser and the Tyrant is overall better even if it's unupgraded. 185 because I really liked having a better torpedo salvo. So 185, that's our standard cruiser. We have to take some form of transport. It's going to be the escort carrier. So that's going to be 360 points right there. Now, don't balk too hard at that. That's launch capacity 12, people. That's a lot of launch capacity in an escort squadron. Now, when it comes to escorts, we obviously need to have another rogue trader cruiser. I am going to then now try to play it a little bit conservative when it comes to our points and take the Endeavor class like cruiser. Endeavors are always a good ship. That's one Endeavor like cruiser that satisfies the Rogue Trader cruiser option. And now we can start taking escorts. Obviously, I'm going to look at my choices. Recommissioned escort, or I can take a squadron of Cobras. I can take a squadron of Firestorms if I wanted. But when it comes to Firestorms or the Xenos vessel, I take the Xenos vessel just for the free selected upgrade. So yeah, I'm going to drop 300 points into that right away. Now, I'm also going to do, again, another... I have to actually take a standard rogue trader. So I have to... I have to take a standard rogue trader cruiser. Actually, no, I can make it an Endeavor. So let's make it an Endeavor instead. Save those points. Open it up for more options. Now, as you can see, we can take Kroot War Spheres. We can take Bastion Commerce Vessels. We have tons of choices here. And these are not bad choices. The Demiurge are really strong ships when it comes to backup. The Kroot are just silly and a lot of fun to be taken. But I will specifically in this particular fleet, I have actually a lot of points to work with. I have my Xenos vessels. I have my carrier. I am going to take a squadron of swords for recommissioned for the auxiliary escorts. That leaves 125. So what I'll do then is then take a squadron of. Actually, no, I'll just take another Endeavor. Boom. 15 points to spare. Not a necessarily bad choice. Not necessarily a bad choice. We are a little underpointed, but as you can see, we have a ton of different options to play around with, and you have a good cruiser spread. Yeah, you have one Tyrant and a bunch of Endeavors, but that has a lot of punch. So I wouldn't necessarily be too upset about that. And you got a lot of escorts here to make up the difference. It is, and remember, 15 points, I can take that, put a special upgrade on one of my ships. Boom. I get to roll on the table, and there you go. 15 points, best that money can buy. Done. 1,500 points. Now, moving on to the Wolfpack area. Okay, pirates and Wolfpacks. First things first, recognize that you are going to be playing with escorts. Lots and lots of escorts. The only capital ship you can really take is a rogue trader cruiser, or any Imperial or a Chaos cruiser worth 185 points or less. You can even take a Space Marine strike cruiser. Special variants or refits are obviously not allowed. Nova cannons are not allowed. There are no restrictions on how many Chaos and or Imperial cruisers you can take. So you're basically taking the bog standard stuff. And of course, the for all battleship. Now, first things first, you should be taking the for all battleships flat out. For all battleships are amazing. Let's go just double check that look right now. Battleship 10, 20 centimeter speed, 45-degree turns, 33 shields, 5 up armor, and 3 turrets. Port and starboard, 45 centimeter, strength 14 weapons batteries. Dorsal lance batteries, 30 centimeters front, left, right, and a prow lance battery front of 3 each. Yeah, you want to take these. Treat all targets less than 30 centimeters as closing. Check that out. You can't come to new heading. When taking a power fleet list, they may not use any rerolls, and they will attempt to disengage when crippled with +1 leadership bonus when doing so. But it doesn't matter. You can take 2 freaking battleships. Just double checking. Enemy scenario. Select a ship worth 350 points. Up to 2 ships in a pirate ship, maybe for all battleships, rolling for leadership, normally counting as cruisers in the fleet list. So you have battleships for the price of cruisers. You should be taking these things flat out. And they are well worth their points because they pack a mighty wallop when they manage to get their fire off if they get close enough. So let us get back to the Wolfpack. The first thing I'm going to freaking do is I'm going to take a pirate captain. And I have a choice of effectively any Chaos ship up to 185 points. So we're going to have to go and take a quick peek and see what my options are. But I can take a single Space Marine strike cruiser. Let's take a strike cruiser. I mean, there's absolutely no reason not to. So I have to double check the points on that strike cruiser. It's been a while. I've just had a kid. Give me a break. Strike cruiser. 145 points with no upgrades. Okay, that's fine. I'll take the 145 points. Plus 145. Done. For all battleships, because why the hell not? All right, now the rest of my points in this particular regard, I am probably going to be dumping directly into my, oops, wrong way. Get back up to those. Back up, whee! Dumping into escorts, because escorts are my, in this particular regard, escorts are very much my spirit animal. But I could also, if I really wanted to, just keep taking more and more bog standard cruisers. We don't have a lot of choices, but we have some good ones. We can take a bunch of Lunars if we wanted to. We can take a bunch of Murders if we wanted to. We really don't have any limitations in that regard. So again, this is one of those beautiful scenarios where you just have almost unlimited choices in this regard. So let's see what our choices are in escorts, because as you can see, it is very much focused on the escort economy. Excuse me. Escort carriers. We will definitely be taking a squadron of escort carriers. Why? Because we need launch capacity. We don't need as much So in this particular regard, I'm only gonna take 4. So 240 points for a squadron of escort carriers. But then we have Q ships, Xeno vessels, Idolator raiders, Infidel raiders, Firestorm frigates, Sword frigates, Falchions, Cobras. We have so many choices. And we really should take advantage of the fact that we can play around with both Imperial and Chaos versions. The Infidel is a nasty option. It's a really solid pick. So you know what? Let's take a for each cruiser. Well, guess what? We have 3 cruisers, so we can take up to 3 squadrons. So let's grab a squadron of Infidels because they are the better Cobra. So 240 points. Boom. So we have our torpedoes. We have our carrier options. We need some lances. Well, guess what? We have Xenos vessels. We're taking those. Those are definitely the best choice. Look at that, 1475 as an option. Now we can spend this points and potential do. Uh, okay, remember that you can only take so many. The Xenos vessels do. Uh, okay, so actually I have to take some of this back because we can't just take the infidels alone, which is a little sad. Minus 240. Okay, well in that case, let's turn around and just take a bunch of swords. I mean, sword frigates are fantastic and an excellent option. So what is that? 70, 105, 210, uh 315, 70, 40, 210. Sorry, I could do math. Okay, so we're now sitting at 1445. Let's just see if we have any options for upgrades. We can take another pirate captain, but we don't have a place to put him because we can't put him on a Fraal. But we can purchase up to 2 more rerolls for 25 points each. Perfect. Give him 3 rerolls. Boom. 1495. That is a Space Marine strike cruiser, 2 for all battleships, a group of Xenos vessels, and a group of sword frigates. That is a nasty little fleet. Do not underestimate that fleet. That will ruin people's days. Now, yes, you do have the downside of the for all battleships not necessarily being able to stay in the fight for long. But remember that your job in this fleet is to have your escorts really do the job and have your strike cruiser soak up the damage. So there you have it. Rogue Trader exploration, and Wolfpack fleet. Now, you can, if you want, take this Wolfpack fleet and modify it, get rid of almost all of your cruisers, and just take a bunch of escorts, and that will be an effective fleet. You just have to change the way you play the game and effectively function as an escort fleet. Also realize that you can take, if you want, Eldar escorts, Orc escorts. You can take all sorts of wacky shit in this fleet. This is basically the garbage dump of all of the other fleets where they all come together and fight together because it's fun. Now, uh, it's very important that you spend time reading the rules of this fleet. Okay, this is complex. This is a high difficulty fleet list, but if you play it right, you will have a lot of fun. Just recognize that you must change your tactics. Just like any fleet in this game, and I'm going to get into a conversation about this in another video, just because you either do really, really well or do really, really poorly does not mean the fleet itself is unbalanced. It means you aren't skilled enough or your opponent is not skilled enough to face off against it yet, and they need more time to cope. All right. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video. Bye-bye.